This is an Uppababy Vista, and today we're going to do a full disassembly and reassembly of the entire wheel mechanism on the side here. So that includes the mechanism for locking the wheel in place, it includes the swivel lock, and so on. It allows you to get into the ball bearings if you've damaged your ball bearings. First thing I'm going to do is to remove the wheel itself. We have another video that shows you how to do that if yours has rusted in place. Okay, first step to disassembly of this mechanism is to take off this top button. You're going to need a flathead screwdriver. And you just want to pop it in on both sides and pull up in order to disconnect all these little peg ends. Yeah? Take out your spring, set everything aside to not lose it. Then, inside here are 2 screws, and you're going to remove those screws. There is a black screw and a silver screw. And they're slightly different lengths, so good to remember: black screw in the back, silver screw in the front, if you didn't notice when you took it off. Okay, now you can take off this entire outer casing. It just lifts right off like this. And now we get to the funnest part of this. Right here is a peg. This peg sits straight in and locks the larger piece of the mechanism in place, and there's no hole in the outside. I'm going to bet that either now or at some point in the future, somebody who's kind of a DIY guy is going to be watching this video and fast forwarding to this point because they don't know how to remove that peg. If that's true, I'm going to show you now, but you have to leave a comment. So, in order to get this peg out, it's not pressed in there, and the way you get it out is actually with a magnet. Just pops out right like that. And there you have it. There's the rest of the mechanism. So, I'm going to start taking this apart. First thing we're going to do is to remove the larger wheel that has to do with taking the wheel on and off. Just take a flathead screwdriver, pry out this piece here. You can twist it a little bit, and then you can pull it off like this. This little piece here, this is the swivel lock mechanism. So when you press down, it has to do with activating this. You see, these white channels go in here. There's a spring, and this is spring loaded like this. There's also a very small plastic wheel in the center there. Okay, so if you're having trouble with your swivel mechanism and it hasn't helped, swivel lock mechanism, and it hasn't helped to use silicone spray and stuff from the top, then you can actually take this whole part apart, just clean it out, and use some silicone spray right here. I'm actually not going to do that on camera here because it's just a bunch of little fiddly parts, but it's pretty self-explanatory how to do that. What I'm going to do instead is show you how to get to the ball bearings. So here on either side of this is a little latch. You're just going to pop it back and pry this mechanism apart in 2, like this. Yeah? And that is how you get to these ball bearings. So if your ball bearings are busted, that's how you would get to them, and how you would replace them. This piece here, clean off the grease a bit, this is spring loaded, and this is the part that actually locks the axle in place. So if you are having problems where your wheel is falling out, it's most likely this piece that is to blame and will need replacement. Sometimes it can wear down. The last spring-loaded piece in here is this little plastic piece here. This pushes in on the top part of the axle in order to keep the axle from moving around too much inside the shaft and causing damage. It is inefficient as a sole mechanism for that purpose, and you do have problems with wobbly wheels on these strollers, so we will be doing a video in the future as a guide to solving wobbly wheel problems. But this is what they have in order to prevent that. They should have also put some sort of a spring-loaded bit on the bottom in order to press down on the wheel. But in any case, okay. So that's how you disassemble this mechanism. In order to put it back together, the spring-loaded piece here that holds the axle tight goes in right like this in that chamber. This is all fresh grease because I've already been in here recently. Okay, ball bearings are in place on either side, and now this part is like really fiddly. So if you look, the side that has the spring, which you could also replace if you needed, it has the deeper trench. What you're going to need to do is slot this in like this so that the peg that protrudes out the side where the trench, of course, allows it to go all the way out. And then you're going to kind of have to balance it in place as you put this back together. It's going to be a little hard to show on camera. Get it all to line up first. That way. And then I'm just going to hold that in there where I want it to be as I snap it together with my other hands. There we go. You can just test it to make sure that it's in the right place. Just take a screwdriver, press in on that, and make sure that it's being affected by the spring. Yeah. Okay, and put this piece back on. Turning it around to there. And then you can push that little spring-loaded peg in a bit. Upside down. There we go. Pull it over a bit as you push it in. There. And then, of course, it should be so that this plastic panel is just on the inside of that. And this should be pulled down flush with the bottom. Okay, reassembly. Going to slot it back in, put that cool peg back in place, reapply the casing, and screw it in. Do not forget to put the spring in before you put the cap, otherwise it's very annoying to get the cap off again in order to get it back in place. You have these longer pegs, and they correspond with two channels, one in the corner, one in the center. On the other side is this like locking place for that swivel lock clip. You just line everything on, line everything up, and just press down. It'll click right into place. And so that is the full disassembly of the wheel mechanism on an Uppababy Vista. You can use this in order to replace any defect parts and allow you to lubricate any of the various mechanisms, the mechanism for locking the wheel in place or for the swivel lock that you might need to deal with on this stroller. We hope that this video has been useful to you, and if it has been, we ask you to subscribe as it helps us to continue making videos in the future. Thank you.